Welcome to Real Talk episode 15. I am Brian Rose, and we're here, chilling at London Real Studios, but I don't have a guest here. No, it's not Mr. Dan Pena or Dan Hardy or this week Matt Willis. It's just me. I'm here to answer your questions live for the next 30 minutes, and I've got a ton of them. Of course, the priority goes to our London Real Academy members, so I'll answer those first. And if you want to know what our secret society is all about, go to londonrealacademy.com. And then I'm going to Instagram because we had crazy, like 25 questions on Instagram. So I'm going to hit you guys up as well. And we put this out on a Snapchat as well. So follow us there, London Real TV. And I'm about to jump into it. I had the $50 billion man, Dan Pena, sitting in this seat right here on Monday, and in a few minutes I'm going to show you a little bit of the behind the scenes of what it was like. But let's just say Dan didn't disappoint. Funny enough, I spent Valentine's Day with Dan Pena, and you know that you have a girl that's down when she's willing to spend it with Dan Pena. And we went to the Ritz, and we filmed a little video there that we'll show you probably next week, and then went out to dinner. It was wonderful. Saw Sally, his better half. And then Dan and I got into it in a big way. It's by far the best episode we've ever taped with the $50 billion man. We both got loud. We both yelled at each other. We both called each other horrible, nasty English slang words that are 4 letters long and start with the letter C. And it was awesome. And it was great to see Dan. And they just don't make them like they used to. And he is at the top of his game. And he is tired of telling people that he knows he's at the top of his game. And so it was great to see him. It was really good. And I'll show you now a few seconds of what it was like being in studio with Dan on Monday. Now, unlike me.
Well, I mean, you don't tell him. You're not going to say, fuck off, don't bother me.
And of course, you can watch that as it was streamed live on the Academy right now. So if you can't wait, I think we're about 4 weeks out from dropping this episode, then you can actually watch the entire thing as we speak. Just go to londonrealacademy.com, join as a founding member, and you can watch it. It was 2 hours and 15 minutes of everything. Pena-isms, success secrets, business tips, what he thinks of what I've done with London Real, and you'll be surprised at what he says in the past year, and what his plans are for the future, reality show, his new Quantum Leap hardcore program at the Castle, and what it's like to be 70 and going strong. And so it was great to touch base with Dan, and to be continued, my adventure with Mr. Dan Pena. I want to let you know that we also just dropped a video today of me at number 4 Hamilton Place, which is the former home of the Duke of Wellington here in Britain, the current home of the Royal Aeronautical Society, and the future home of the London Real Academy Summit on March 12th. It's a beautiful venue, spiral staircases, staircases, chandeliers, oil paintings, relics from all sorts of aeronautical history. It's stunning. There's a roof terrace overlooking Hyde Park. Funny enough, right where I shot the Ido Portal Moving Conversation, and that's where we're going to have our drinks reception. But all day long, we are going to be connecting with Academy members that are flying from around the world, and I do mean that. People are coming from all over the globe to get together, and this day is about one thing. Quite honestly, it's not about me. It's not even about a guest like Dan Pena. It's about finding ways for you to make these lifelong relationships that you're going to talk about forever. Because we've all gone to the conference and we've seen, Tim Ferriss give a keynote address, and we leave and we didn't have anything to show for it. And I've also gone to other events where I come back and I've met 5 people that are great contacts for life. They're great networkers, they're great mentees, they're potential investors, collaborators, and that's what we're going to create, and we're going to create it, and we're going to be in this beautiful hall, but we're also going to get out, and we're going to take over London for 3 hours. So excited about that. We're actually pairing people off into groups of 10 as we speak. So if you've already bought a ticket, you will get assigned to a team name, which are going to be after our most popular guests. So it will be Team Peña, Team Lopez, Team Ferris, and you'll have missions to go around London and things to accomplish, and we'll be coming back in the evening with video and pictures of everything that's happened. But on top of that, we're going to be talking about how to accomplish your goals. We're going to talk about how to accelerate your business, and we'll be featuring some Academy members there, and I'll also have a fireside chat with a very special guest that day that will be disclosed at a later date. So that's going to be awesome. And there's a few tickets left, so grab those if you want on LondonRealAcademy.com, or check your email or check the video. They're somewhere. So check that out. Super excited about that. What else? Our public speaking masterclass, I gave that right after Real Talk last week, where I spoke with my lovely, what do I call her? My baby mama, the love of my life, Mariana. And I talked to her about what it's like to be pregnant, what it was like to support me in the really hard years of London Real, and to support me kind of keep following my dream, even though it wasn't technically going anywhere. And it was great talking to her. But afterwards, I gave this public speaking masterclass, which everyone tells me was just filled with so much value. And you can watch that now on YouTube right now. And it was just really a lot of value, and I think you'll really enjoy it. So check that out. And our Public Speaking Accelerator course starts in March. I think we've got one spot left. If you're still interested, message me, Brian, at londonreal.tv, or watch the Public Speaking Masterclass. There's a link at the bottom. But I'm super excited. I'm going to basically be privately mentoring 10 people for 10 weeks, and I'm going to get everything up to scratch. Their social media, get them as a KPI established, so it'll just accelerate their business. It's going to be incredible. I think if you want to make yourself a better person, there's two ways really that are the best way. One, public speaking, because it's about communication, it's about confidence. And the second, I think, is building yourself into a KPI and converting that to a business. Those are the best ways, I think, to move forward at a rapid rate, because you have to deal with so many issues, and it causes you to kind of really become a leader of yourself and a leader among other people. So check that out. That's happening. We've got guests back in the studio. Of course, I mentioned Dan Pena. You can watch that episode right now if you want, if you sign up as an Academy member. But we've got Matt Willis of the group Busted and McBusted in the seat tomorrow. I love Matt. He is an amazing performer. I was lucky enough to hang out with him backstage at the O2 Arena about 6 months ago with Danny Jones and the rest of the McBusted crew. And these guys are so cool, so chill. They're drinking bulletproof coffee in the back. And then I went out and they rocked 20,000 people at the O2 Arena for 2 hours. I was stunned. The amount of stamina, the way these guys perform, and Matt is such a magnetic guy, and I just can't wait to sit down with him. He's just so cool, and I want to know what it's like to perform. He's also an actor. He's been in movies. He's been a presenter. He's also been to rehab a few times. He's been up, he's been down, and I think we can learn a lot from him. So super excited about that. Leave your questions for him on the Academy. And also, Anita Moorjani is back in studio. You'll probably remember her as the woman who came back from a terminal cancer diagnosis and is now all about promoting you loving yourself. And she caused me to ask everyone in my life a simple question. I'm going to ask you too as well. Do you love yourself? And it's a great question. And the funny thing is that most people that I asked that to in my life came back and said, not really, I don't know, not every day. And I was shocked because I thought everybody that I had upgraded to be in my peer group love themselves by definition, because I usually love myself, and if I don't, I try to figure out how. And that's something I learned from Anita Moorjani, and she's going to be back in studio. She's got a great message. Whether you're into the near-death experience, which she had, or whether you believe in these things or believe that she battled through cancer through a mental state, or whether you believe that her cancer was caused by negative mental energy or not, it doesn't matter, because she has a great message either way. So I can't wait to sit down and talk with her. That's awesome. Dan Hardy, the mixed martial arts fighter turned commentator and analyst, is out on Sunday. The episode drops. Super excited for that. James Haskell, the rugby player playing for England, his trailer is out. Episode coming soon. So super excited for that stuff. It's all kicking off, and more to come. There's more stuff happening as usual, and it's all kicking off on the Academy. So I hope I see you over there. But now, I've spoken too much, so let's jump into your questions as usual. I just want to try to answer as much as I can for you, help you in the most ways that I can. So I'm going to rattle through these. There's a lot of questions this week, and I'm going to answer them really quick. So here you go. I start with Academy members, and you can put these on LondonRealAcademy.com/Real Talk, and that's where these questions come from. But Jamie Curtis says, hey, Brian, you always ask what the Academy can do for us, but what can we do for the Academy? Great to meet you and the team at the focus group. Keep growing. Jamie, it was great meeting you. He was at the focus group on Friday. We have the live stream of the entire 3 hours for our members. It's incredible. We had 30 people here in the studio getting up in front, talking about their goals, their dreams, things they have a hard time with, connecting, and it's just an amazing community. But it's funny you asked that, Jamie, because one person said, Brian, I really want to find a mentor. I really want to get someone that's going to help me. And I just got done listening to a podcast with Russell Simmons, who created Def Jam Records back in the day. I think they signed Run DMC. And he said, you get what you give. And so I said to this guy, I said, who are you mentoring right now? And he said, well, nobody. And I was like, well, maybe you should start mentoring some people and you might find that you get a lot back, in return. And so I always say to people on the academy when they leave the focus group, I'm like, you know what? Get involved in the academy, find 5 people and help them. And that is the best way your life will improve. And that is true about all of our stars in the academy, whether you're Tony Floreal or Kevin McNamara in Australia or Olive or MJ or anybody. Lisa May comes to mind. And so many others that I've forgotten. It's because they give and they want to help people all the time, and that's why they get all of my attention and they get all of this great vibes coming back to them. So really, the best thing to do is to just try to help, and whether that means for me or for us putting all this information out, or maybe because we went to the Westway King's College the other day and try to give some advice to kids. I think it's always good to teach and help, and then all this other energy is going to come back. So as an Academy member, if you really want to be great, get involved. So many Academy members come and they're like, oh, Brian, I don't know, I didn't really get what I wanted out of the Academy. I'm like, well, what did you give? We're giving you access to a group of incredible people. We're giving you access to come meet me in the studio. We're giving you access to Success Secrets, to all of our courses, to Dan Pena Lab at the Ritz. But now it's time for you. What can you give us? And how can you contribute? And that's how all communities are really formed. So that's my question for all of you Academy members tonight. What are you giving to the Academy? Can you take 10 minutes this week and Skype someone, or put out a 10-minute video about something that you know about? Because that's the way you really connect with people. And trust me, that's the way to do it. So thanks for that question, Jamie. I really appreciate it. Next question, Thomas Devereaux, a key member of the Academy. You can see him most weekends on Sunday morning at 9 a.m. for our 5K run by Mr. Julian Bales, and that happens every week at Primrose Hill, 9 a.m. on Sunday, so you got to be dedicated. But Thomas says, hi, Brian and company. First of all, big thank you for all you do, and I've thoroughly enjoyed the past 10 months of the Academy. I look forward to many, many more. His question is, what is a successful Academy member, and how is this measured? Well, I guess I probably just answered this with Jamie, and I measure an Academy member by their success with really the impact they have on other people in the Academy. And like I said, those names that I've said come to mind. Guy is another one who does these meditation retreats, an amazing member. Candy White, who's flying to London from Vancouver for the summit. She's always giving, always contributing, always helping, always commenting. So all of these people in the Academy make great members when they actually do things and volunteer and go out of their way to help. And it's really where all the value is, and that's how I can tell where the great Academy members are. So that's how I can tell, and that's how I really know because of all the contributions. And I'll see them all at the summit when we have all these people gathered. You'll be able to tell the key members because they'll be giving the most, they'll be helping the most, they'll be standing up and getting vulnerable and talking about all that stuff. So it's going to be super exciting. Also, I'm going to have 2 members from the Business Accelerator program on stage, and they're going to talk about the 10-week journey we've taken them through, and they've gone from idea to product in 10 weeks, and they've built these amazing websites, these social media platforms, this following, these autoresponders. It's incredible, so I'm super excited to drop that. So there you go. All right, I'm dropping into Instagram. Here we go. DK Lee says, Brian, which interview question and to whom were you most nervous to ask? This is a great question. When you first start broadcasting and you get people on the show, it's hard to ask them hard questions because it really is breaking rapport to put people on the spot and ask them questions that make them uncomfortable. And so I had to really work up to it. And I remember when I had Roger Gracie in here, one of the greatest Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belts in the world, and I had to ask him what it was like to get knocked out in Strikeforce in an MMA fight or get beat up. And it was really hard to just press him and say, what was it like to be defeated? And I did the same when Dan Hardy was here the first time. And he wanted to change the subject. And I was like, okay, what about your next loss? What about your next loss? And it's really hard to ask those people. And I remember when Chris Eubank was sitting in this chair, he had a fight and beat a man until he's no longer, mentally capable. And I had to say to him, that guy was no longer functional after that fight. How did that feel to do that to another man? And it was hard. It was really uncomfortable. But it had to be asked because you're sitting there thinking, I want to know. And so my job is not to be uncomfortable. My job is to ask the hard questions that you want to know and to play devil's advocate and to say, okay, what it's like, and to ask Dan Pena why he has to be an absolute, you know what I mean, all the time, and why he has to be such a jerk all the time, and why it's sometimes all about him winning. But you'll hear more about that on the show. So that probably gives you an example of some of the hard questions I've had to ask. Yeah, those are the ones that spring to mind. It can be a little uncomfortable. And also, a lot of times people have been asked those questions a lot, and they get really sensitive as if you're trying to make them look bad. So you just have to be careful with that stuff. So I hope that answers your question. Journey Lesson says, Brian, can I work with London Real making animations of your interviews and cartoons for the quotes? Send me a sample. Everybody sends me emails and say they want to do work from us, and I would really love to hear from you. If you really do want to do some work for us, then please send it to me. But don't waste my time. Send me something that's of real value that might really make a difference. Somebody sent me something recently that says, can I do titles for your videos? And I'm like, we already do that. And someone was like, can I help you publish videos that's going to increase your Twitter following? I'm like, we already do that. So if you really want to add value, then send me something that shows real value, but don't just send me an email telling me what you want to do. So hopefully that answers your question. Carl Reeder says, go on then, when can I be interviewed? Hashtag real talk, don't ask, don't get. And I love this tonight because I'm answering every question. You know what? A lot of people say that to me. People come to the focus group and they say, Brian, one day I'm going to be on London Real. And do you know what I tell them? I say, okay, make me have you on London Real. Do something we can't ignore. And that's it. I leave it at that. I'm like, make it happen. You make it happen. It's not me that makes it happen. You make it happen. Make it to where I'm like, I got to have this guy on. Or make it to where 10 people say, Brian, you got to have this guy on the show. So that's really puts the ball back in your court. So yeah, if you don't ask, you don't get, that's fine. But now you have to go do the work to make you worthy of becoming a guest on London Real. And it's just that simple. And that goes to anybody out there who wants to be a guest. Make your story something that's worth telling, and make yourself a person worth watching. It's just that simple. So there you go. R the Wordsmith says, Brian, how do I get a job with London Real? It's a great question. Again, show some value. Send me a proposal that says, Brian, I can do this for you. Or better yet, send me something saying, I've already done this for you, and I'm happy to do more of this for you. That's great value. Solve a problem for me already. Don't tell me how you want to help or you can help. Just help. And if you continually provide value, then we can't ignore you. It's just that simple. And if someone does that and constantly contributes to your business, then after a while you're just like, you know what? You might as well just come be here all the time. So just do that. And that goes for anyone else in life that wants to go work for someone or wants to get a mentor. Go to where you're providing so much value that literally they can't ignore you anymore. So that's nice and simple. All right, we're jamming through these things. Murphy Girl says, when you first started the show, was it straight hustle or leveraging your networks to get the guests you wanted? Also, what's your morning routine? How do you start the day right? Murphy Girl, great question. When I first started the show, it was a bit of both, but it was really not even straight hustle. It was more like being relentless, like just committing to a goal and not stopping for any reason whatsoever. And to be honest, this is one of my greatest attributes and one of my biggest flaws. Because sometimes I will just keep banging my head against the wall until it bleeds and my skull is cracked open and my brain is on the floor and I'm losing consciousness and I don't know why. Because I committed to hit my head against the wall until the wall breaks. And so in the past, this means I can do something ad nauseum until I don't realize that it's not the right course. But it also means is that I will keep at it when most people will quit or they'll cry or they'll just absolutely go insane or they'll want to hang themselves. And so sometimes I'll just keep doing it just because I've decided this is what we're going to do. And it doesn't matter if anyone's watching. It's just like I owe it to myself, and I'm really hard on myself, and I'm not very impressed with myself. And so I have to do something really, really good in order to move the needle on my own, giving myself any kind of credit. And so in the beginning, I leveraged a bit of our network, but I didn't have much. It was just like all the cool friends I could have on. And then it was just hustle, hard work, promotion, rinse, repeat until you die. And that's pretty much what we're doing here. And if you do that long enough, I think with the right energy and the right spirit, then hopefully someone will notice. And if not, hopefully you've had fun the whole time. So there you go. WSNX7 says, Brian, what advice would you give to the younger self? I've answered this before, but I'll say it again. Drink ayahuasca sooner. Nice and simple. Yeah, just do that. That way I think you could love yourself a little bit sooner. You could understand yourself a little sooner. You could stop running away. You could realize we're all really connected in this world, that we all need each other, that you really need others to feel one as a human, to complete your whole goal, and to stop trying to be Rambo all the time, because that's silly. But as young men, we're taught that a lot of times, and I would have liked to have done that sooner. I think I would have got a jump about 10 years ahead of where I am now, but still, it's all good. It was a great journey anyway, so there you go. Adil1919 says, Brian, do you like dragons? Adil, no, I don't like dragons. Next question. Adam Drake, Lifting, says, you love London. Did your experience in banking ever affect that negatively? No, I remember when I flew over here in 1997, interviewing for a job. I went to the city and interviewed, and it was a rainy, cold day. It was a lousy interview. The company was, it was an okay company, but like the officers were garbage. The people were nasty. You know, it was it was a broken world. And I walked around because I had like 2 hours in between interviews, and I was just, oh my God, this city, when you don't know people here, the city can feel really cold and really hard, kind of like New York-ish. And I was just like, man, this is hard. So that was tough. But once I got in here and once I started getting into the banking world and once I started having success, I actually really enjoyed it, and it made the city really come alive. And once you know people in London, this city rocks. It's the greatest city in the world, in my opinion. I love it, and I love the energy. So there you go. Jay Bellini says, Brian, how did you find your purpose in life? How do you find your life purpose? Okay, that's a great question, and I'm leaving everything in today. You know, it's a great question, and I said this to the students at Westminster Kingsway College. You know, it's hard to find your calling, and we don't always have our calling or do our calling, but I think the best thing is to just be honest with yourself about what you want to do. Try to connect with as many people as possible. Try to try new things. Try to constantly question your own dogma and if it's really the right thing. Experience things. Question your own attitudes. Take psychedelics regularly to crush your ego and try to figure out what's wrong, because we all tell ourselves these crazy narratives, and sometimes we get ultra competitive about things that don't really matter in the long run. So that's all I'll say to you. I hope you can use that in some way or another. All right, a few of the questions. The Paul Garrett says, Brian, what is your number one habit that's helped you make London Real the success it is today? What was your number one obstacle starting the show? You know, Dan Pena told me on Monday, he says, you know, motivation will get you only so far. And after that, good habits take over. And he's like, I have extraordinary habits. That's what Dan Pena said. And I think I have pretty damn good habits as well. And I have a really regimented, regulated week. It's almost bordering on boring. I eat the same breakfast every day. I wake up pretty much at the same time every day. On Saturday mornings, I do my hill sprints. On Sunday, I do my 5K. You know, it's just a relentless routine. And I'd say my habits are pretty good up there near Peña's. I meditate, I do all these things. And so I think that's super important to have that routine and to really get it locked in stone. And I think once you get that going, you'll find that success just builds on itself. And so super important, and I do agree with Dan Pena on that. And I do agree with a lot of things he says, unfortunately. It roils me up, but I do. And the number one obstacle when starting the show, oh man, one obstacle. You know, worrying about what other people would say, that was the number one obstacle, but I got over that. And then trying to get people to care. That was another obstacle, and that just took time. And ultimately, I just did it because I cared, so that was the most important thing. And that was just a shift of perception more than anything. JPL29 says, Brian, what gets you juiced? As in, what drives you daily? What gets you the most excited, fired up, and passionate about life? You know, broadcasting is a lot of fun. Doing this kind of thing is always fun. On Tuesdays and Sunday nights, we have our live call with our Business Accelerator program, and I love mentoring people from California on one part and Australia on the other and Switzerland and all these wonderful people. So I love doing that. I love speaking live here in the studio with people like Dan Pena, with rock stars like Matt Willis, with cancer survivors like Anita Moorjani. I love that stuff. I love the people involved in London Real. They just got awesome energy. They're here all the time. They just get juiced up with being creative and having like total leeway to jump on projects and to try new things. If you have an idea at London Real and it doesn't hurt people, then I'm like, yeah, let's do it. So I love that whole energy. I love that whole vibe. I love meeting people. I love connecting. I love that more than anything else. So that's what gets me juiced. And when we got that going on, I'm having an electric week. Also, I think I like being a little stressed out. There's always too much to do around here. We're also always behind deadline. We're always running out of money. We're always running out of time. And maybe I like that too. I don't know. But it's stressful, but maybe that's a good thing too. So there you go. Great question. I love these Instagram questions. A few other questions here. A couple more minutes. Radio Villy says, hi, Brian. You've tried ayahuasca, active meditation, martial arts, Dan Pena. Very true. All those 4 things are very similar. What's your best way to let out negative thoughts and emotions? That's the first question. I don't know if all of those are great ways to let out negative thoughts and emotions. I find active meditation is a great way to release. I do it every Saturday, and I'm always amazed how great I feel afterwards, so I love that. Training as well. I love hard training. Hard cardio that makes you want to throw up is good. Martial arts, punching things, choking people out, trying to break their arms and legs, that always feels good. And even getting a beating yourself sometimes feels really good because you kind of have to surrender to the moment, like in jiu-jitsu, when you're getting owned by a black belt and it doesn't feel good. Sometimes that's a good thing to happen to you. Psychedelics are important because it just breaks you down, but I wouldn't say it's a lot of fun, and it's not a great way to get rid of negative emotions. It's just a great way to check yourself. And Dan Pena, oh my gosh, it's always a great way just to destroy your brain is to get into Dan's head a little bit. And he did not disappoint on Sunday and Monday, man. I think I had the flu for like 24 hours after seeing Dan. But I still love Dan. Hanging out with Dan is amazing. It's inspirational. It's also like dancing with the devil. It's fantastic. So those are all good. And I recommend all of those things to do. Definitely spend time with Dan. Try some ayahuasca. Check with your doctor first. Active meditation and martial arts are all wonderful things to do. Radio Villy said, why do you love London? How do you balance inner calmness with the fast-paced environment of London? I think living in London is such a privilege. There's so much juice here. There's so much going on. There's people to connect with. There's history. There's government. There's media. It's just like I wouldn't want to live anywhere else, and I don't think I could live anywhere else and move to the country. I'd get bored. So while Shoreditch isn't always the prettiest of place, and sometimes people come by and there's rubbish outside or there's street art or it's cold and dark and gray, I cherish the fast-paced and the energy, and so I love it. Inner calmness, yeah, you got to find it on your own. You got to meditate. You got to go train. But I think London's a great balance compared to New York, which probably is a little too hyper. So London's great for that in general. And just finishing out a couple more questions from Radio Villy. What belt color are you in forgiveness? Is there anyone in life you did not forgive? Great question. The reference to belt color is a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu reference. White is beginner, black is expert, and then it goes in between blue, purple, which I have a purple belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, brown and black. And what's my belt level for forgiveness? I'm pretty good with forgiveness, as in I don't really walk around with big grudges with anyone. I just wouldn't waste my time with it. If something went wrong in the past with someone, I won't forget, but I forgive because I don't really care. It's like I got so many things to worry about in this life. The last thing I need to do is worry about something someone did to me. And honestly, I don't think they did it to me anyways. I probably should have seen it coming. And if I was more careful, I would have prepared for failure. So it's my fault, And that's why whenever I meet anyone and they say, oh, this person screwed me over or this person did that, I already know I'm talking to someone who's really weak and has a victim mentality that, quite honestly, I don't want to hang out with. And you can usually even tell by the tone of their voice. So I just don't associate with them. No one screwed you over. You just didn't read the details of your contract, or you just assumed things that you shouldn't, or maybe you just had a bad time, so you probably should get over it. So I don't really worry about forgiving. I just move on. But I don't forget. So if something went bad with you and me in the past, then I probably won't be hanging out with you or doing business with you in the future. And for my life, it's just simpler just to edit you out of my life. I meet so many awesome people and have so many opportunities that I'd rather just take advantage of those. And I encourage you to live your life the same. Don't waste time with the ex-girlfriend or the ex-boyfriend or the friend that never calls you, used to hang out in high school. Move on. There's so many great things happening in your future. Don't even worry about that stuff. It's not important. So there you go. Hope that answered your question. And finally, what is the one thing you learned from Gaby? Gaby is my 11-year-old daughter going on 18. She's constantly destroying my ego as well. just like Dan Pena and the other things I mentioned here. Gaby's absolutely wonderful. She taught me so much. In a way, that wonderful girl saved my life. And I'll probably expand on that sometime in the future, because having to be responsible for a little girl like that and change my life because of it makes you grow up, makes you stop being so goddamn selfish, makes you open up and connect and realize that life's more about you. It's about the next generation. It's about other humans on this world. And so she just helped me get a hold of my life in a lot of ways that she will never know. Her mother probably doesn't even understand that, but I know. Sometimes I forget too, but she really did help me change my life. And I think London Real is owed a lot to that wonderful young girl that's in my life. And so she taught me a lot of that. She taught me so many things. You know, kids show you so many things. Kids are in the moment. Kids are growing. Kids get angry. Kids lash out at you because they're trying to grow up and they're trying to deal with these egos and they're trying to become adults. And just because she gets mad at me or says, you know, this is my room or whatever, it doesn't mean it's about me. It means she's trying to become an individual. And it also makes me realize how I treated my mother when I was 10. And I was a horrible little bastard when I was 10, and I was slamming doors, and I think I was just fighting against anything because I was trying to become an individual and a human. And so I feel so bad because my mom put up with all my nonsense. So when you become a parent, you forgive your parents a bit more because you realize they were dealing with completely irrational munchkins like yourself. So she taught me that and so much more. So yeah, children can be a blessing, and I have a funny feeling that my son is going to teach me a lot more of the same. So it should be very interesting. That's all coming at the end of May. So there you go. If you have any name suggestions, send them in, please. I'm sure Mariana won't want me to say this, but I'm looking for cool names. I'm looking for epic names. Matt Willis' son is named Ace, and I saw that today, and I was like, that's a cool name. So maybe I'll ask Matt that. So there you go. All right, that's Real Talk, everybody. I hope you don't mind that new format, rapid questions, rapid answers. Hope you enjoyed the Pena video. It was awesome. And if you have any guest suggestions for Real Talk, let me know. We're going to have more people here. I'm planning on two every month to be sitting here so we can just shoot and find out what's going on. I hope to see you at the London Real Summit. I guarantee it'll be worth your time. Come, it's going to be amazing. The energy of London Real Academy members, it's incredible. It's something I'm the most proud of. It's just something that humbles me so much. And it's going to be all of us in this room. It's going to be awesome. We're going to be doing active meditation. We're going to be just learning, pushing ourselves. It's going to be awesome. So until then, I will see you next week for Real Talk episode 16.